Hi folks, HR Funk here. With an iconic firearm, what I have with me here today is a Winchester Model 1873 lever action rifle. These rifles were originally produced, as the name suggests, beginning in 1873, and production continued for nearly 5 decades, during which time there were nearly 750,000 of these rifles manufactured, and they were manufactured in a number of different variations. There was even a military musket version that was adopted by some military organizations around the world. Now, this is not an original. This is a more recently manufactured rifle from Miroku in Japan, but it is a Winchester branded rifle. And in this video, we're going to take a close-up look at this rifle. I'll talk a little bit about its history. I'll talk a little bit about how the production eventually came to be done in Japan. And before everything's all said and done, we'll head out to the range and see how this rifle shoots. So here we go. And before I get into this review of the Model 1873 Winchester, I want to say thanks to the folks at Hop Munitions, the firearms side of which is now called Hop Armament, for loaning me the Model 1873 for this review. The Model 1873 rifle was an improvement over Winchester's earlier Model 1866 design, and one of those improvements was in the receiver, which on the 1866 was manufactured from a brass alloy, and on the 1873, the receiver was manufactured from steel. The 1873 also included the use of a sliding dust cover that we can see here on the top of the receiver to help seal off the top of the action from dirt and foreign material that might get inside and impair the functioning of the rifle. And here's a close-up look at that dust cover on top of the receiver, and as you can see, it is closed now, sealing off the top of the action. But when the lever is cycled, it automatically moves out of the way, allowing the shell carrier to rise. If there was a round that had just fed out of the magazine, the carrier would bring it up to put it in line with the chamber. Also, the hammer is simultaneously cocked, and when the lever is returned to the up position, that cartridge is forced into the chamber, and the rifle would now be ready to fire. The next time the lever is cycled, assuming that it was fired, it recocks the hammer, the shell carrier throws that empty cartridge case out of the top of the receiver and allows a new cartridge to once again be fed into the chamber. One of the reasons for the popularity of the Model 1873 involved the fact that it was chambered for popular handgun cartridges of the time. Initially, it was chambered for the 4440 cartridge, but other chamberings would come along in time. And this allowed the shooter the convenience to have one cartridge for both their handgun and their rifle, which is something a lot of us still enjoy today. If there was a downside to the fact that the 1873 was chambered for handgun cartridges, it had to do with the fact that in terms of pure power, it really couldn't compete with the large single-shot rifles of that era, which themselves were chambered for large, very powerful rifle cartridges. Even so, that deficiency did not stop the 1873 from going on to win fame and acclaim and eventually become known as the gun that won the West. The 1873 continued in production up until circa 1920. Sources disagree about exactly what year production ceased, but Winchester went on to manufacture other lever action designs but retired the 1873 right around the beginning of 1920. In any case, Winchester itself eventually became U.S. Repeating Arms, which in the early 2000s was purchased by FN. And eventually, manufacture at the old Winchester plant ceased, and FN went on to manufacture some of the other Winchester rifles at their own factories, and they decided to pass on manufacture of the lever action rifles to Miroku of Japan. My understanding is that FN has a relationship with Miroku that goes back some time, and due to the quality of manufacture that Miroku is capable of, they decided to have them produce the lever action rifles. Production of the 1873 recommenced right around 2013, and this rifle that you see here in front of you was produced in Japan, and it is an exquisite rifle. We're going to take a very close-up look at some of its features, but to look at it here in the shop, it is a very, very finely crafted rifle. This particular rifle is considered a sporter version of the 1873, and one of the characteristic features of that model is the curved pistol grip that you can see right there. And I hope the quality of this wood comes through in the video, because for these rifles, Miroku used Type 1 or Type 2 walnut, and this is very nicely grained walnut that is in this rifle. I'm going to try to get some more close-up views so you can get a better look, but I wanted to point that out initially. There's a close-up look at the buttstock, and you can see some of that fine wood grain. You can also see that this is a rifle-style buttstock with the blued steel crescent-shaped butt plate there. And there's a look at the fore end. You can see the wood once again, and the blued steel end cap there. Now, one thing, if I'm being very, very picky about this rifle, and these rifles, when they were manufactured, had an MSRP of just shy of $1,500, and this particular version is no longer being offered. But I notice a few places, and here is one place that you can see where the wood is just not quite fit perfectly with the end cap. It's also a little less well fitted here at this end. And when I look back at the buttstock, we can see the same thing right here. So again, this is not a huge criticism if this rifle were something that cost a little bit less when it was manufactured, but for the price I would expect just a little bit better fitting on the wood. But again, that's a minor nit to pick. Turning my attention to the metal finish, the bluing and polishing on this rifle is done very, very well. So any deficiency there might be in the wood seems to be more or less made up for in the finish of the metal. This rifle has a 24-inch octagon barrel, and I will move the camera so you can get a better look at that. And there's a look at that barrel. It is a full octagon barrel. This rifle is chambered for the .357 Magnum cartridge, and it has a rifling twist rate of 1 turn in 18 3/4 inches. Also, as you can see, it has a full-length magazine, which according to the website gives it a capacity of 14 cartridges, but it didn't specify if those were .357 Magnum cartridges or 38 Special cartridges. I assume that's .357s, so when I load this up, I'll try it with both .357 Magnums and 38 Specials and see if we might be able to get one more 38 Special cartridge in there than we can get .357 Magnums. For sights, this rifle has a semi-buckhorn rear sight that's adjustable for both elevation and drift adjustable for windage. And it has a Marbles gold bead front sight that you see there. The tang is drilled and tapped for an aperture sight, and this rifle very much does need an aperture sight. It almost looks like it's incomplete without one. Just like the originals, this rifle has a lock at the rear of the lever that you see here that, when applied, prevents the lever from being moved. And obviously it has to be disengaged in order to properly cycle the lever. And there's a look at the opposite side of the receiver. Again, you see that fine polishing and bluing. And I'll get you a few quick shots of the markings, beginning with the Winchester Model 1873 legend that we see right there. And once again, on the left side of the barrel, we see the Winchester logo, along with the model designation and the cartridge designation for both .357 Magnum and 38 Special only, it says, interestingly. And on the right-hand side, we see the manufacturer and importer information. So there you go, folks. That's going to do it for my up-close shop review of this Winchester Model 1873 rifle. I hope you enjoyed it. In part 2 of this video, we're going to head off to the range, like I said, and see how this rifle shoots, and I'm looking forward to that. In any case, if you have any questions or comments about this video, as always, make sure you forward those to me. Remember, if you purchase anything from Optics Planet, be sure to use my discount code, which is... And if you use that discount code, it's good for 7% off your purchase from Optics Planet. Also remember the discount code from House of Pain Munitions. And again, House of Pain Munitions, actually House of Pain Armament, provided this rifle for the video today. If you go to House of Pain, you can use my discount code there, which is HRFUNK10, and that'll save you 10% off your purchase from House of Pain. Last but not least is the Target sponsor for the channel. Go to Target's online, check out their inventory, and see if they have anything that's going to meet your Target needs. See you next time, folks. And until then, with an iconic rifle, good shooting. Bye-bye.